My friend Jimmy Carter will be remembered long after other presidents are forgotten. Here's why Gordon Brown. His rise to the Oval Office was meteoric. But what he did afterwards set the standard for statesmanship and public service, simply moved on from politics. Others still have gone on to different kinds of jobs in government. John Quincy Adams went from his presidency, which terminated in 1829, to serve 9 consecutive terms as a congressman in the House of Representatives from 1831 to his death in 1848. William Taft, who ended his presidency in 1913, became Chief Justice and head of the Supreme Court in 1921 after serving as a law professor at Yale University. Others have also turned to education, as did Thomas Jefferson, who was president from 1801 to 1809 and then went on to found the University of Virginia. Some have returned to their previous jobs. All holders of great offices face a dilemma once they relinquish them. What next? How should they make best use of who they are and what they have learned? But while Carter retired to his hometown of Plains in Georgia, he was never likely to go back to peanut farming. Instead, Carter embarked on his remarkable 43 years of post-presidential public service on the world stage and, with the exception of Herbert Hoover, who was kicked out of the White House in 1932 but engaged in humanitarian relief before, during, and after the Second World War, none has done as much in the charitable sector as him. His reputation as a humanitarian was built not just on his philanthropy, but on his willingness to travel, as long as he was physically able to do so, to places where his leadership was needed. And it was for these endeavors that he became known as the President of Peace, winning 2002's Nobel Peace Prize. But much of his greatness lay in an understanding that if he were to advance human rights in a meaningful way, he had to. Nothing in his early years marked Carter out as a likely presidential candidate. Having been governor of a southern state, Georgia, for short years, where he was known for fighting segregation and racism, he was an improbable candidate for U.S. president. Perhaps because he knew little of Washington, he was unprepared for and overly naive about the demands of a presidency won on a post-Watergate anti-corruption ticket. Even after he became governor of Georgia, few thought of him as a president in waiting. In the 1970s, just before his run in the Democratic primaries of 1975 and 1976, he told his mother, "Mama, I'm going to run for president." "President of what?" was her reply. A U.S. president he became, but in the years that followed, in so many ways he set a new standard, redefining perhaps how we can and should think about achievement. Today, and on the 9th of January, earmarked by Joe Biden as a national day of mourning, we will remember a life of service and a moral compass, things that will be celebrated long after the lives of many other presidents are forgotten.